Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Students, our today's discussion is about junction properties. In this lecture, we will study what type of different interfaces we can make to form some junctions. Basically, we are aiming to focus on three type of junctions over there: the metal-metal junction, and the semiconductor junction, and metal semiconductor junction, which is also called heterostructure. So we study these three junctions one by one in detail. So first of all, we want to study what is metal-metal junction. So let's consider you have two metals. One is metal number 1 and the other is metal number 2. So you need the information about the work function of these metals. That phi 1 is the work function of metal 1 and phi 2 is work function of metal 2. As far as work function is concerned, this is the energy required to remove an electron from a metal. It's called work function. So we assume that the work function of second metal is greater than work function of the first metal. To understand the characteristics of a metal-metal junction, we assume that we have two metals having work function phi 1 and phi 2 such that the work function of second metal is greater than that of the first metal. So what happens when these two metals brought in contact? So you have two metals with different work function. It means they have different Fermi levels. The Fermi level is higher for the lower work function and lower for the higher work function. So that is the reason when you make the contact, electron having higher energy at the higher Fermi level, which are existing in the metal 1 who has less work function, start flowing towards metal 2, because electron in metal 2 have lower energy as compared to electron in metal 1. So electron start flowing from metal 2 towards the metal 1. So in this process will continue until electron on both sides have same energy. So electron from metal 1 carry energy, goes to the metal 2 and raise the energy level, the Fermi level of the metal 2 and decrease the Fermi level of metal 1. This process will continue until both Fermi levels are equal. So once both the Fermi levels are equal, then we have to see that the metal 1 loses electron, so get negatively charged, and get positive charge, and metal 2 gain electrons, so it gets negative charge. So this gives rise to an electric double layer. It gives rise to barrier like potential at the junction, but we know that metals have very good electrical conductivity. So this effect only exists at the junction, very close to the junction. Okay. And this the potential developed between the metal surfaces is basically equal to the difference of their work function, phi 2 minus phi 1. So this energy EV is the energy of potential barrier is equal to work function of second metal minus work function of first metal, or difference in their Fermi levels, right? So metals are good conductor. So this electrical double layer or this potential barrier is confined near the junction. This is the band structure diagram. Now we focus on the band structure of two metals which are bringing into contact. So we have two figures. The first figure A is before the contact. You see that this is work function of metal 1 and phi 2 is work function of metal 2. You can clearly see that phi 2 is greater than phi 1. You see that this is the Fermi level of metal 2, this is the Fermi level of metal 1. When you make the contact, electron in the metal 1 having higher energy as compared to electron in the metal 2, so electrons start flowing from metal 1 to metal 2. This process will continue until you get equal Fermi levels for both the metals, like this. Here you can see that this is after contact diagram, diagram B, this is after contact. You can see that metal 1 and metal 2 both have same Fermi levels, and here you can see that this is the potential barrier phi 2 minus phi 1. Here you develop some positive charge toward the metal 1, and here you get some negative charge toward the metal 2. So energy on the side of metal 2 is higher because electron carry some energy from metal 1 to metal 2. So energy on the metal 1 side lowers as compared to energy on the metal 2 side. This gives rise to a potential energy variance, which is equal to the difference of their work function. Okay. So there are some other characteristics of a metal-metal junction. So according to Joule's law, Joule's heating effect, when current is passed through a conductor of resistance R, a heat equal to I square R or VIT, here T is time, I is current, V is potential difference, and in this part here I is current, R is resistance, and T is time, is dissipated to the surrounding. So when current pass, the conductor dissipate heat to the surrounding. However, when a potential difference is applied across a metal-metal junction, additional heat is generated because that potential difference push electron to overcome this junction. So extra heat is generated. So overall, the heat generated or absorbed per second is proportional to these both factors, I square R plus phi 1 to I. The first part is the heat dissipated due to flow of charge. And the second part is due to a special effect, thermoelectric effect called Peltier effect. Okay. So this term is for Peltier effect, and this constant is called Peltier coefficient, phi 1 2 for metal 1 to metal 2. This is called Peltier effect. When you apply the potential difference, then the result is the generation of some heat. So when current flow from metal 1 to metal 2, okay, the heat is generated. So phi 1 2 is negative. When electron flow from metal 1 to metal 2, because initially electron of metal 1 have higher energy, so electron can flow from metal 1 to metal 2. And when electron flow in the reverse direction, when current is reversed, then phi 1 2 will be negative and the heat is absorbed by the conductor. This effect is basically employed in electronic refrigerator. You can change the temperature by following the current between the metal junctions. So by changing the direction of flow of current, you can see that in one case you got generation of heat and the other case is for absorption of heat. So this effect is used in electronic refrigerators. Similarly, if you put two sides of the junction at different temperatures, that one metal is at temperature T1 and the other metal is subjected to temperature T2, so there is a temperature difference across the junction. So you know that electron on the hotter side gain thermal energy and start traveling towards the colder end, the colder side of the junction. So this will induce a potential difference inside the metal-metal junction, and this effect is called thermoelectric effect or Seebeck effect. So thermocouples are basically based on the same phenomena of having a metal-metal junction where both sides of the junction are subjected to different temperatures. So thermocouples are well known to the physicists and they are commonly used for accurate measurement of the temperature in the laboratory, especially in the laboratory environment. Okay, so this is our discussion about metal-metal junction. So now we want to discuss few characteristics of a metal semiconductor junction, or you can say a heterostructure. What happens when you make a contact of a metal and a semiconductor? So there are basically two possibilities. The resultant contact can be ohmic, which obey Ohm law, and the non-ohmic are rectifying, which does not obey Ohm law, means the IV characteristics are not a straight line. So this depends upon the type of metal we are using. So to make a ohmic contact, you have to fulfill one of the two conditions, like if pi s, the work function of semiconductor of which type, n type. So if work function of n type semiconductor is greater than work function of the metal, then your contact will be ohmic contact. Or for the p type semiconductor, if work function of p type semiconductor is less than work function of the metal, then again you have ohmic contact. However, if you want to form a rectifying or non-ohmic contact, just like in you have studied in semiconductor junction or in diodes, where the IV characteristics are non-ohmic. So for non-ohmic contact, phi s of n type is smaller than phi m of the metal. So the situation reverse. So if work function of phi m is smaller than work function of the metal, then your contact will be non-ohmic, and phi s of the p type is greater than phi m of the metal, or the work function of a p type semiconductor is greater than work function of the metal, then again you will get non-ohmic contact. So today we will discuss in detail the description of rectifying or non-ohmic contacts. So these are the contacts for which phi m is greater than phi s. Work function of metal is greater than work function of semiconductor n type. We consider the case of n type for simplicity. Or for the p type, this is the situation. Phi m is less than phi s. Okay, for n type semiconductor, work function consists of two parts. One is its general work function phi I, as called internal work function. This is the energy difference between Fermi level and bottom of the conduction band. And phi external phi E. This is the ionization energy required to eject electron from the donor states to set it free. So you need two type of energy to get an electron free. So that is the reason that in semiconductor work function is sum of the both internal work function as well as external work function. Internal for the difference in the Fermi level and the bottom of the conduction band, and external is for the ionization energy of the donor atoms. Okay. So when contact is made, so you see that work function of metal is greater as compared to work function of semiconductor. So it means that Fermi level of n-type semiconductor is higher as compared to Fermi level of the metal. So it means electron on the n-type semiconductor side have higher energy as compared to electron inside the metal. So when contact is made, electron starts flowing from n-type semiconductor towards the metal. Okay, and this process will continue until the Fermi level of metal and semiconductor becomes equal. One thing to keep in mind that metals are good conductor. So usually, as compared to semiconductor, there is no significant change in the Fermi level of the metal. However, there is a significant change in the Fermi level of the semiconductor. So Fermi level of the semiconductor decrease while the Fermi level of the metal remains at its original position. Okay, so electron flow from n-type semiconductor to the p-type semiconductor. So in that case, there is a potential difference developed across this metal semiconductor junction, and And this difference is basically equal to the difference in work function of both metal and semiconductor, phi m minus phi s. This will be the difference in the Fermi energies on both sides of the semiconductors. Okay, this is the band structure diagram of metal semiconductor junction. Here you can see that this is your metal number 1. This is the before contact. There is no junction. There is no contact between metal and semiconductor. This is entire semiconductor and this is metal. Fermi level of metal is lower as compared to Fermi level of entire semiconductor. This is the work function of metal, phi m. This is the work function of semiconductor, which is sum of phi e and phi I, right? This second diagram is after the contact is made. So when contact is made, you can see that electron carry energy from n type and travel towards. So electron of higher energy reduces over there electrons with less energy. So there a barrier developed on the n side semiconductor, and the barrier was always there when electrons are traveling from metal to the semiconductor, because electron on the metal side have lower energy as compared to that of the electron on the p-type semiconductor on the metal side. So that is the reason the barrier when you see from the metal side is phi m minus phi e. This will be the barrier, and when you see from the semiconductor side, your barrier will be equal to phi m minus phi s. This one. So electrons are existing over there. If you want that these electrons flow towards the metal, so you have to give energy so that they come to this level, so that from this level they can flow towards the metal. Okay, and if you want electrons from the metal to travel towards the entire semiconductor, they have to overcome this barrier. So there is a clear barrier between metal and semiconductor junction. However, the junction height is not same on both sides. So what happens when there is an equilibrium? When junction is formed and there is an equilibrium, although junction from the both sides is different, however, the number of electrons flow from metal to semiconductor or from semiconductor to metal are almost equal. This is the reason that n-type semiconductor have lesser number of electrons. However, its energy barrier is small. Whereas if you see from the metal side, metal have greater number of free electron for the conduction. However, this energy barrier is relatively high as compared to that of the energy barrier for the semiconductor. So electrons are more and barrier is high. So overall, at equilibrium, we can say that almost equal number of electrons travel on both sides, from metal to semiconductor or from semiconductor to metal, and so on. This is the simple situation of this junction. So we are studying rectifying a non-ohmic contact. So to study its IV characteristics, we have to apply some potential difference across this junction. So when you apply a potential difference across this junction, this will alter the height of this energy potential energy barrier or this energy barrier. And there are two possibilities. When semiconductor is positive and metal is negative. Okay, so when semiconductor is positive, the electron on the n side are pulled toward the terminal away from the junction. So these electrons required even more energy to flow toward the metal. So initially their barrier is phi m minus phi s, and your barrier height increase. So your barrier height increase, and this will become phi m minus phi s plus EB, where E is the applied potential. Whereas there is no difference occur in the energy barrier of the metal side due to very high conductivity, due to very large number of electrons available for the conduction process. So apparently this increase in the energy barrier on the semiconductor side will resist the flow of electron from semiconductor to metal. However, the flow from metal to semiconductor remain as it is. So this is the one case when mostly no electron are flowing from semiconductor towards the metal. So we can say that this configuration is reverse bias metal semiconductor junction. In reverse case, if you change the polarities such that metal is positive and n-type semiconductor is negative, so this will push the electron towards the junction. So this barrier height will become lesser as compared to the original barrier. So this will be pi m minus pi s minus ev, pi m minus pi s minus ev. So this barrier height will reduce. So it is more easier for electron to travel towards the metal. However, the flow from the metal remains same. So this is called forward biasing a metal semiconductor junction. So this is the case of variation in the potential barrier due to the applied potential difference. Now we look at this mathematically. So when you say that our case is the reverse bias, then you get the current only from metal to semiconductor, IMS. These are constant. AC, that is temperature exponential minus pi m minus pi e. This is the energy required by the electrons on the metal side to go towards the n-type semiconductor over kT. So this is the exponential relationship. So if you draw this reverse bias current, this will give you an exponential pattern. However, if you reverse the potential difference, so in that case, if metal is positive and semiconductor is negative, so semiconductor junction is reduced, semiconductor potential is reduced by this factor EBSM. This was the original potential barrier reduced by a factor minus EB, where this V is the applied potential difference. So a net current flow from semiconductor towards the metal. This will be I from semiconductor to metal. There is a mistake. This is from semiconductor to metal, Sm. ISM is equal to ACT square exponential minus, so this is the new energy barrier, pi m minus pi e minus AV over kT. However, if the temperature is low, so basically the phi e and phi s are approximately equal. So you can replace phi e by phi s. So if you replace this and you want to find the net current flowing from metal to semiconductor and from semiconductor to metal, then the relationship for net current is ISM minus IMS is equal to this IS exponential EV over KT minus 1, where IS is equal to ACT square exponential this. This is very simple calculation. Take their difference, put phi E is equal to phi S, you will simply get this relationship. Okay, now we focus on this equation, what this equation is all about. So this equation helps us to draw IV characteristics. When you change the potential difference, you can see a change in the current. So the first case of reverse, first we discuss the case of forward bias. So if V is taken as the polarity of the metal, which is positive, if metal is positive, electron negative, but then you can say that metal semiconductor junction is forward bias. So when you current increase with the exponentially with the increase in the voltage. On the other hand, if the potential is reversed, when metal is negative and the semiconductor is positive, then in that case, if you focus on this equation, this V is negative, this exponential power with negative is very close to 0. This exponential part is negligible. So you get I net is equal to minus IS, so which is approximately constant. So initially you have some variation due to exponential term. So when a sufficient higher voltage is reached, then the exponential part will be negligible and you get a constant current in the reverse bias case. This is very similar to the IV characteristics of a semiconducting diode. So that's why these junctions are called rectifying or non-ohmic junctions. So this is our discussion for today. Hopefully you have understood all the basic concept underlying this. So you can ask if you have any question regarding our discussion. So is there any question? Thank you students. Is there any question? जी 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 इसके बाद हमने ये इक्वेशन जो है वो देखी थी, ठीक है। तो ये पहला केस था जिसमें करंट जो है वो रिवर्स बायस का केस था, जिसमें सिर्फ मेटल से सेमीकंडक्टर की तरफ इलेक्ट्रॉन का फ्लो होगा। तो ये वो पाई एम माइनस पाई ई जो है ये वो एनर्जी है जो मेटल के इलेक्ट्रॉन को चाहिए है ताकि वो एन साइड पर जा सकें, ठीक है। और अगर आप पोलैरिटी को रिवर्स कर देते हैं, ठीक है, तो उस सूरत में हमने डिस्कस किया था कि बैरियर की हाइट जो है सेमीकंडक्टर साइड पे वो कम हो जाएगी, पहले से भी जितनी है ओरिजिनली उससे भी कम हो जाएगी बाय अ फैक्टर माइनस ईवी, राइट। So that's why the current flowing from semiconductor to metal will be equal to this ACT square exponential. This is the height of the barrier. This is the energy required by the electron to travel from semiconductor to metal. ठीक है। तो अगर आप नेट करंट फाइंड आउट करना चाहते हैं तो यहाँ पे आपने ये कहा कि अगर टेम्परेचर लो हो तो जो दो वर्क फंक्शन हैं जिनसे मिलके फाई एस बनता है तो वो अप्रोक्सीमेटली फाई एस के बराबर ही होता है पर लो टेम्परेचर। टेम्परेचर ज्यादा हो तो जो आपके पास फाई आई है उसकी वैल्यू थोड़ी सी हो जाती है, अदरवाइज टेम्परेचर अगर ज्यादा ना हो तो फाई और फाई एस तकरीबन एक जैसे होते हैं। तो अगर आप नेट करंट फाइंड आउट करना चाहते हैं जो मेटल से सेमीकंडक्टर की तरफ जाता है या सेमीकंडक्टर से मेटल की तरफ जाता है, दोनों को इकट्ठा कंसीडर, दोनों का डिफरेंस ले लेंगे, तो आई नेट विल बी इक्वल टू आई फ्रॉम सेमीकंडक्टर टू मेटल माइनस आई फ्रॉम मेटल टू सेमीकंडक्टर विच इज इक्वल टू आई एस एक्सपोनेंशियल माइनस ए वी ओवर के टी माइनस 1। अब बाकी सारी चीजें जो हैं वो इस कांस्टेंट में आ गई, बहुत सिंपल सी कैलकुलेशन है, आप इसको आसानी से अंडरस्टैंड कर सकते हैं, ठीक है। अब यही जो लास्ट इक्वेशन है इसी को हमने यहाँ पे जो है वो आईवी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक को ड्रा करने के लिए जो है वो इस्तेमाल किया है। तो जब फॉरवर्ड बायस होगा तो ये एक्सपोनेंशियल बिहेवियर आपको नजर आएगा कर्व का, बिल्कुल डायोड की तरह, क्योंकि ये आपकी इक्वेशन जो है ये इसमें एक्सपोनेंशियल पार्ट मौजूद है और V पॉजिटिव है फॉर मेटल, ठीक है। तो एक्सपोनेंशियल ग्रोथ होगी, राइट। अब अगर आप मेटल को नेगेटिव कर देते हैं और सेमीकंडक्टर को पॉजिटिव कर देते हैं तो V नेगेटिव आएगा, ठीक है। V नेगेटिव आएगा तो डिक्रीज आएगा, इसमें डिके होगा, ठीक है। और डिके होने की वजह से ये वैल्यू इतनी छोटी हो जाएगी एक्सपोनेंशियल वाली एज कम्पेयर टू 1 कि आप इसको इग्नोर कर सकते हैं। तो इस केस में आई नेट जो है ये आपका माइनस आई एस के बराबर हो जाएगा, सिंपली एक कांस्टेंट वैल्यू आपको मिलेगी, जिस तरह के रिवर्स बायस में थोड़ी देर के बाद वैल्यू कांस्टेंट हो जाती है। तो इस ग्राफ को देखें तो ये बिल्कुल डायोड की तरह है, नॉन ओमिक ग्राफ है, वरना अगर ओमिक होता तो ये स्ट्रेट लाइन ग्राफ बनता, पोटेंशियल डिफरेंस ऑफ करंट का जो ग्राफ होता है, ठीक है। तो इट इज वेरीफाइंग दैट कि हमारा ये जो सेमीकंडक्टर मेटल जंक्शन है ये कौन सा है, नॉन ओमिक या रेक्टिफाइंग कांटेक्ट। जी यही हमारे डिस्कशन। एनी अदर क्वेश्चन? ओके, थैंक यू स्टूडेंट्स, अल्लाह हाफिज। आज के लिए यही था, कल फिर मिलेंगे इंशाल्लाह नेक्स्ट लेक्चर।